I'm Jay Cordova. I graduate in 2026. I play any position, and I go to Pomona. And you're listening to Playmakers Corner.
Hey folks, it is Cody Stoffer here with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and we are continuing our legendary interview series here. And joining us today is a very special guest, a pioneer in her own right here. If you'd like to introduce yourself, your name, where you're from, and where you play ball, please do so.
Hi, my name is Jay Cordova. I go to Pomona. I play quarterback, and I'm from Colorado.
Yes, and we got to see you make some plays in parts this past fall season. But, before we start talking about that and your impact on the flag field, we want to know the impact that, sports have had on you as a fan or a spectator. And so our very first question is just something where we can kind of get to know you a little bit better, as well as give the listeners a chance to potentially relate to you as well. But we find that regardless of whether people are, just now getting into a certain sport or whether they've been kind of around athletics for a bit, there's like a specific memory that really inspires or pushes them towards sports. And I kind of want to just throw that out to you and find out, what is your favorite experience, memory, what have you, as a fan of sports, whether that is a live game that you were able to watch that was super exciting on the high school, college, professional level, or any game that you've seen on television across any sport that meant quite a bit to you.
I think it's probably when the Broncos won the Super Bowl 50, because I just feel like it was a really good experience, and it was also a really good game. I just feel like you could learn a lot from winning or losing that, because it's such a big game. And I just feel like it's a really big experience to get to that game in general. So win or loss, I feel like it's definitely a learning experience on how to get better.
Yeah, and I mean, that's got to be an interesting game to remember too as a quarterback where, shout out to Manning, obviously one of the best to ever do it, but maybe not the best version of Manning that people have seen, but, getting that help from the teammates and just showing what a really well-constructed unit can accomplish. I mean, that's got to mean quite a bit there. And, I'm excited to hear you kind of talk about your team but keeping it inward here and talking about you and your experiences here, it's a little bit easier to talk about some memorable moments, one might think, from one's own perspective here. And I kind of want to know, what is your favorite memory while playing sports? I know that, obviously, as far as, flag football goes on the Colorado high school specific level, it's been a little bit short, but your favorite sports memory can be something from that season or any other kind of athletics that you have participated in, just something that really entrenched that competing and going out there and giving your all in any realm was, just near and dear to you.
I think my favorite moment from flag football would definitely be from the Broncos regional this past May, because we played Chatfield, and I just felt like it was a really good game in general, but we haven't beat Chatfield in the regular high school season yet. So I feel like it was a big accomplishment, and my team worked together, and I couldn't do it without them.
I remember seeing those games going on, and it's funny because we do have, Gino listening here, and we actually made it out to nationals for flag football on the college level. And, we definitely do want to kind of get your thoughts on what does the idea of a future with flag football potentially look like, or how does that sound to you as, just an opportunity that you will have that wasn't there even just 5 years ago?
I think it'd be amazing to be able to play flag football in college, and especially because it'll be an Olympic sport in 2028. I think it is a great opportunity, and I'm so excited for what it has to come because it's only getting bigger.
Yeah, flag football is definitely not going anywhere. If anything, it is only going to continue to explode. And like you said, obviously that international presence that's going to be there with it being an Olympic sport is nothing short of exciting. And I just kind of want to know, what did the explosion or forming of the team or program kind of look like at Pomona?
I'd say the first year, it was just like an experiment. Like no one really knew what to do about it, and I feel like people just joined to see what it was about. As it grew on throughout just that season, it definitely got more known throughout our school, and ongoing to the second season, this past season, it definitely grew so much. We had enough for two teams. We had support from our school, especially from making state. Like it was just such a big deal to our school, and I can't imagine how it's going to be this upcoming year now that it's sanctioned.
I mean, going from people just kind of poking their head in, swinging by, to actually investing that time and building that camaraderie. I mean, it's nothing short of special. And, to even further then have two teams and, have two teams that compete pretty well, that is something special. And I just want to know, what do you think? Obviously, there's still a lot to be done as far as what a full-on culture kind of looks like, and it's really early to tell as far as the history of flag football goes. But what do you think is something that separates Pomona flag football from other flag football programs around the state, at least on this level?
I think what separates us from other teams is definitely our bond as a team because we do get along, and if we feel as if there are mistakes, we all communicate and get it done and fixed. I feel like other teams don't have as strong of a bond as we do, especially because our athletes are also in multiple sports, so we all play with each other during flag football or basketball or wrestling or soccer or track. So we also have like a past um, sport where we also communicate. So I just feel like our bond is so strong.
I mean, to be able to carry over teammates from multiple sports is going to be really special. And I mean, I kind of want to touch on that too, because I know there's obviously this kind of trend recently. I've kind of kept my ear down to the ground about it just because, I think it could have some major changes, but I've seen kind of a trend a little bit of some athletes trying to play almost one sport entirely year round and just become completely specialized. But what do you think are some benefits to playing other sports and then bringing those skill sets to the flag football field? And do you have any specific examples on instances of that working for you or a teammate very well?
For me, I'd say when I went to basketball, knowing I'm not going to be one of the greatest as I am on the football field, it's definitely a learning experience to be with people who love basketball as I love flag football. So it's definitely a good experience to know how they love their sport and I love my sport, and learning the differences and trying to get better at what they love. And I just feel like it's such a good experience because it helps you get better just as an athlete in general and as a person, because you have to create different bonds and you have to learn new things, like just to be better at that sport.
And, you know, obviously don't have to answer in full detail if you don't want to, but I just kind of am curious, what's kind of the culture around cross sport or multi-sport athletes, at least through the coaching staff? Is that something that is encouraged and even rooted for?
I feel like it's rooted for, especially because I feel like our coaches at Pomona are so close together that we just try to encourage anyone to come out and play on, no matter the skill level. We're all willing to help you learn and get better.
Yeah, I know that personally at my high school, went to Arapahoe, and our coaches were like, if you aren't running track, then there's a problem. And they definitely wanted us to do multiple sports and bring those, not only helping out other teams. And, there are some people who are really, really good athletes at multitudes of sports. And sometimes football is even their second sport compared to some of the other teams that they're on. So I think that obviously you can't go wrong with it. And it's encouraging to hear that at least at Pomona, it's still revered to be, in a sense, a multi-sport athlete and continue to work on that. And, talking about your team here, as well as your coaches and whatnot, I just kind of want to get your synopsis, if you would, of your season. Obviously, you don't have to take us through every single play because y'all had plenty of plays, but what were just like some highlights from the fall season, and kind of chronologically, what are some things that y'all learned throughout the season that kind of created the story? So, this is going to sound like a tall ask, but I promise you don't have to go into documentary level detail. But I just kind of want to know, from the lens of Jay Cordova here, what was the story of the 2023 Pomona Panther flag football team?
I'd say from the first Jamboree up to state, we all definitely got better. And going just like from regionals and weeks before that, it was just even a learning. We're still learning as a team weeks before state, and I just feel like it was so good. It was really fun. Win or loss, I just feel like we had fun all the time. And we're also so competitive as a team, knowing us as well as A West were the only two teams that were undefeated at, I think, like week, I don't know, 6. And so when we finally played each other, there was definitely some tension, and it was just overall a great match. And seeing them in state wasn't our best performance, but they definitely helped us become a better team.
Iron sharpens iron, as the saying goes. And I mean, that's a tough team, obviously, but the only way to become the best is to beat the best and play the best, obviously. So it's good to hear about that progression of skills, as well as just, the chemistry. I feel chemistry, especially in flag, that is such a fast paced sport here, is so, so important and critical even to that team success. And so being able to develop that over the course of the season is very important. And, what are some of the more important lessons you think some of the returners, including yourself, are going to be bringing to the fall season here in 2024, and some of the biggest takeaways from last season?
Well, a lesson I feel that we all definitely learned and will get better at is definitely our attitude, because we see that it reflects onto our whole team and can either bring us down or pick us up, or it could control the team's emotions. So that's definitely a lesson to learn and get better at, because we are a team and we should never be down on each other, and we should always pick each other up.
And obviously, there's going to be a handful of returners coming to show that that lesson was learned and received. But are there any seniors who will not be returning that maybe we should know about? And what's kind of the plan for y'all's squad to replace their impact, and kind of strategy to plug those holes?
I think we're losing about 6 seniors. Um, to me, that's no problem at all. I love my seniors, but we always have to work around it at one point. And I think we will be perfectly fine next season. They were definitely a big impact on this past season, but it's nothing we can't work around.
Yeah, like you said, everyone has to face it. There's very, very rarely is there ever a class where you're not losing some kind of talent in any sport, especially high school sports. I mean, that's just the nature of things. And it comes back to that culture and those lessons that y'all learned last year for the returners to kind of take charge and whatnot and establish what those lessons were and, keep that energy up, keep that attitude up and stuff like that. And I'm going to cheat a little bit here, and I'm going to use you as a resource. Obviously, you're on our show, so your name is one that we'll look out for, and we'll talk about your game a little bit here in just a moment. But who are some players that we should keep an eye out for in the fall that you think are going to be high impact out of Pomona?
I would look at Timberly Martinez. I think she is going to be the running back this season, but she's also a backup quarterback. She is a great athlete all around, and she's always pretty positive, and she picks up her team. I'd also shout out my sister because she is growing as an athlete, and she is just willing to do whatever she has to do for the team. And I just think it's a really good opportunity to have someone on your team that will do anything for your team. It's great to have anyone that will do anything. That is all I can think of. I forgot my team. Dang.
Hey, they'll just remember it in practice, right?
Yeah.
But, and that makes me a little curious, actually. What do you think, if you had to describe a Pomona flag football practice, either in a sentence or in a few words, what are some adjectives you would use to describe a practice and just kind of, attitudes heading into a game week?
Well, we definitely prioritize having fun. We're most of the time always happy and excited to play, regardless of who we play. We practice just as we would. If we need to fix something, we will. And our players do speak up about that as well as our coach. And if we need to fix anything, we get it done.
So a lot of internal leadership on the field, it kind of sounds like, which, I mean, most great programs do have instances of that just because, I mean, it's one thing for your coach to call you out or make an improvement because that's their job at the end of the day, right? It's kind of expected for them. But, I think that great programs have players that can hold each other accountable as well. And so I just kind of want to know for you, I mean, you're at the quarterback position. What does your kind of leadership style or what is kind of your mentality around other players and how do you hope or how do you see those results kind of pan out on game day or in practices from your style of leadership?
Again, that comes to my mood, and if I have a good mood, then our whole offense truly does have a good mood because they see that. I mean, I guess the offense doesn't really work if you don't have a decent quarterback. But I'd like to always be happy unless there's a time I'm not for some reason. But I think I lead it pretty well, and I always have a winner mentality because that's just how I was raised when I played sports when I was younger. And I don't really like losing, so I will try to put a good competition.
Bring a little bit of an edge to the field. I mean, look, obviously we are a football podcast, so we're going to be biased, but we think that's something that obviously you're going to get in any sport, but that intensity is something that we find unique and even beautiful to the game of football. Is just like, yeah, no, people can get a little crazy on the field, whether there's plastic pads or not. because you have to play at full speed. Otherwise, it could cost you everything. You have to come out and be mentally sharp. It's just there's so many facets of football that make it so unique and so powerful. And, it's good to hear that you're able to own in on that. And, it sounds like with the culture that y'all have built, there's support systems that can pick up as well and help kind of bring it all together. Even if somebody is faltering, there's somebody there to pick them up and continue to push forward. And, in that case, what do you think are some pieces of advice that you would give to, players who are going to be playing flag football for the first time? And, what do you think makes football or flag football so unique, especially as somebody who plays other sports? I just kind of want to hear your perspective on that, and especially want to share it with anybody who's thinking about playing flag football and kind of building a sales pitch to get numbers to continue to grow.
Advice I have for anyone wanting or first year flag football, just have fun. Mistakes are only going to make you a better athlete in general. Mistakes aren't terrible, so you'll only learn from it and get better as an individual. I'd say nothing helps more than mistakes because you know to do better next time. So I'd say just to have fun and don't be too hard on yourself, because at the end of the day, it's just a sport, and you're just here to have fun. Flag football, I feel like, is unique because it's known as a boy sport or a more masculine sport. So having females come along together to play it's a really big opportunity, and I just feel like we can do anything a boy can do. There's no really big difference, and
Yeah, I love the speed of the sport, obviously, is something that jumps to mind first and foremost when talking about it. And so you got to be locked in and you got to take care of business. And y'all showed that. And I really liked what you had to say as well about, mistakes. I mean, mistakes are only as bad as you let them be, right? And something that I always kind of thought about, whether I was coaching or whether I was playing, is it's almost nicer to lose in the regular season because I always feel like there's so much more that we can talk about following a loss, especially now, more in the coaching phase of my football career. I said at the old age of 25 here, but I think that it's way more useful sometimes to lose because there's just so much more to talk about and to kind of focus and key in on and get ready for the next week. So I love what you had to say about that. And, in addition to that, and flipping to the second half of your answer, I should say, was what does it mean to you that not only did flag football get sanctioned here in Colorado, and not only what does it mean for this to just be another avenue or activity that people can play in, but specifically what does it mean for, girls who are coming up and they now have this opportunity to play on the high school level, to play on the college level? And what does it mean to you to have been a pioneer for this movement and being a part of, this critical trial stage to get this pushed into a varsity sport here in Colorado?
for me personally, since I played tackle before high school, it was like I was so excited to play flag football before it was even sanctioned. Like I didn't even care because I knew I was too little and not as tall and strong as the boys on the football team. So it was a nice opportunity to still be able to play the sport I love. And I feel that like that goes along for a lot of girls at Pomona or in general, because they might want to play football, but they might not want to play with these like huge boys, and they stink and it's gross. So it's like it's a really nice opportunity to play a sport that I love, or even for anyone that they are new to flag football. I feel like it's such a fun sport, and it means a lot that it's now sanctioned, and it's not just like for fun.
Yeah, football is for everyone, but when you actually have, an opportunity to play it, that statement just feels a little bit more true, I would say. And, I also just want to make sure that credit is given where credit is due, and just know that here at the pod, we appreciate what you have done for the sport so far and being a piece in, this monumental offseason that it had here in Colorado, as, we have beaten other states like Texas, like California, so-called, football hotbeds here, to having girls flag football sanctioned here. And I think that it's going to be awesome for, future opportunities. And as the sport continues to grow, we'll always be able to kind of hang our hat on the fact that there were, that we were a part of that earlier set of states to get it sanctioned. And looking at the sanctioning, I'm not sure if how much of the news has spread, but have you had a chance to look at the new, quote unquote, new rules that are going to be coming to the high school level in the fall?
I have seen a few, not all of them, but I know they are a lot like college rules, I'm pretty sure.
Correct. So rushing is going to look a lot different and probably a lot more common. And I think that obviously Colorado is doing what they could to get a lot more games in, and just get the exposure up. And I guess from a player's perspective, do you think that this is a move in the right direction to move to those more nationally recognized and collegiate rules?
Personally, I liked our 3 game jamborees more than these. I guess just one. I guess an hour and a half, 2 hour games, because that is what we've been doing for 2 years. I get it's the college rules and stuff, but it's what we are used to. But it's not something we can't get used to again. Um, I just feel like for the first like 2 or 3 weeks of the season, it's definitely going to be hard to get used to, or even during practices, because I feel like it's such a big difference from what we are used to now. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a learning curve of sorts, and I feel that a ton of teams are going to run into that. And then obviously, like, certain tournaments have different rules if you participate in tournaments in the off season, and maybe even looked a little bit different from those regionals that you talked about earlier in this episode too. So it will be exciting for sure. And I mean, from the sounds of it, it just kind of sounds like you're itching to play a lot more games, honestly.
I am. I'm ready to football all the time.
All day, every day, as they say. But obviously you've talked about, your mentality and kind of what you bring to the table a little bit here. But, I kind of want to use this as a sales pitch of sorts. If I am a college scout, what should I be on the look for when watching your game? What do you think are some traits that separate you on the football field in between those lines that allow you to be such a dynamic athlete and be able to make great plays and great throws? If you had to pick like 2 to 3 qualities or abilities from your game that separate you from other quarterbacks in the state, what would you say those are?
I think it's my ability to run. Some QBs don't move their feet a lot or just move in the pocket, and I feel like I'm really good at that. Because again, QB was not my main position, and I'd like to believe I'm fast, so I feel like I can get out of there. And most times I don't need to because I trust my receivers, which is also a big thing I feel like I have for colleges to look at, because why be on a team if you can't trust them? It's just, I feel like trusting your team is a big part of any sport in general, unless like maybe track. But
Yeah, I totally get you. And, sometimes it can be hard because, I mean, everybody has those off days. I mean, as somebody who has covered flag, from the high school level to the college level, even on the college level, there's some days where it's just like, oh my, like they really could use a confidence booster on reeling these in sometimes, and that's the same in pads or in flag air as well. And I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to just not throw the ball and gain yards, and just keel over? And there's actually kind of an alarming amount of times where that has or can happen. And so being able to just persevere and stick it out is going to be so important, especially to state championship or state contending dreams as well. And I think that is something that we're going to kind of be on the lookout for from y'all's squad, is being able to make that kind of a push here and being able to be a competitive squad throughout the fall season. And, you know, while I want to jump ahead in the fall here, as we've kind of manipulated the time and spectrum of time a little bit here, I almost want to jump back to last season and use it as a lens to look ahead to the next season and ask you personally, what were some of your favorite matchups or teams to play against from this past season? And what do you think are some things that you'll have to kind of be keying in on for some of your opponents for the fall season?
I think our greatest matchups from last season were definitely just honestly A West and Chatfield, because I feel like they are the biggest competition we had throughout that year. Again, Mountain Vista, they caught us off guard. We beat them, but they definitely caught us off guard that week. They taught us just in that game that we needed to step up and work together more as a team, because we were definitely lacking communication from all. And I take a big part on that. And with this upcoming season coming, I haven't really even thought about who we play, since we are going to be 4A and A West, Chatfield, and Vista are going to be 5A. I have no idea.
That's interesting to hear how they're breaking that up. But I know that at least from the on the tackle side of things that there is a classification change. So that's very interesting to hear, and I'm excited to see how that all kind of boils down. But not only is there a little bit of a history, obviously, with multiple sports between Pomona, A West, and Chatfield and stuff like that, since y'all are all over kind of on that west side of the metro area. So, a little, I'll admit, as a fan and as somebody covering it, a little sad that won't be able to get that rivalry to continue and that story continuing to play out. But, as far as looking ahead to the season, it sounds like there is a plan at the bare minimum for, getting a good sense of parity in the competition and whatnot. So that is really fun to hear about. I'm very excited to see how that all kind of goes. And if you had to, I guess, give a reason, like a pick me, there was this campaign a while ago called like Pick Me, about why you should choose this player or this team. And if you had to make a sales pitch to people who are new to the fan community in Colorado high school flag football, why should they hop on the Pomona bandwagon?
I'd say because we are a good community all around in any sport or just the school in general. We don't really brag as much as people, regardless of how many times we've won or how good we are. It's just a good community. We're positive and it's just fun. We're all fun and we support anyone, regardless of skill level. We love everyone.
Classy and fun. Everybody loves that kind of a squad here. And, I'm definitely excited to catch some games this fall in some kind of capacity. And I guess I just want to know what has kind of been y'all's mentality in the off season as far as getting reps in, and what are y'all hoping to bring to the table, or what's something new that you hope to have in your repertoire or arsenal, whether it's on the offensive or defensive side of the ball, that you think is going to be something that we got to keep our eyes peeled for heading into this fall?
I think our mentality going into the next season is definitely just to do better than we did the past 2 seasons. Um, we're just here to win. Again, our team is so competitive because, again, they play other sports and we don't really like to lose. So it's just going to be an ongoing thing that we're going to try our best to win and work together as a team. And while we are doing that, we just want a good, positive, and helpful community all around.
It's almost like failure is feeling less and less like an option for the upcoming
Yes.
season. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting here is y'all are locked in and ready to take care of business and get back to work. And, you know, looking ahead to that is super exciting. And I know that we're still kind of in disbelief, just because we have our reservations about the ability to pass things and some of the rules and sanctionings that happen in the state. So we were very, very surprised and just feel blessed, honestly, that we're going to get to see flag football in the fall and continue our coverage of a sport that is just so fast paced and such a blast, and to have teams that are competitive and have a chance to win it all, be able to take it all home. And in that breath, talking about, kind of the big picture and getting near the end of this interview here, we like to give a moment to allow you to extend your thanks as well for anybody who's important to your academic, athletic career, or just anyone that you'd like to shout out on the show, whether it's friends, family, coaches, fellow players, teachers, or anything like that. And so I encourage you to just take the floor and take as long as you need here to just shout out people that are important to your story and have provided us with the opportunity to share this story through our pod here.
I would like to thank my twin for one. I think she supports me in everything and is definitely so honest with me that I know what to do next time. And I don't get that from a lot of people because, again, people just say, like, oh, you did good or you did fine. Like, you don't need to change anything. But her, like, she will tell me what I need to change in order to be a better athlete, student athlete. Like, it's all, I get her help for everything. I'd like to thank both of my parents because without them, I wouldn't be here. But also, they've worked around their schedules just to make mine work. I'd like to thank my coach Ryan at Pomona because he always is positive no matter what's going on. He helps me through everything, and whether that's algebra or just on the field as a quarterback. I'd also like to thank Coach Real from A West. Playing on his club team has taught me a lot and how to get along with new players that I don't usually play with during the high school season. It's a really fun experience as well. But he has taught me a lot, and I'm definitely looking forward to playing him and his squad in the fall. I thank my uncle and my cousins because my uncle is a coach and he could see my perspective for things. Um, he helps me so much, and I learned so much from him. Even just from him coming to just a few of my games, he teaches me so much, and I'm so beyond grateful for that. And just all glory to God.
And we'd like to extend our gratitude towards everyone that you mentioned and anyone else who's been a part of your story and helped contributed to that. And I like that you brought up playing on that club team and being able to kind of experience competition almost in a different way. And I feel like that's something that's pretty unique, at least so far, to Colorado flag football as opposed to tackle football. Is you are going to be playing with your high school during this season, but you might be playing with other high school talent in other areas of other seasons here, and during various parts of the year. And I kind of want to zoom in on that lens just a little bit there and ask, what are some things that you feel that you learned a lot from this club team, and some things that you think are going to be great and you're going to try and use against your coach maybe a little bit in the fall and make some noise that way.
Some things I've learned from playing on a club team is learning how to speak up for myself. Speaking up for myself is not the easiest thing, but I need to in order to get a change or to make a change. And it's definitely helping me learn, especially playing with people I didn't know as much as I do now. And it just feels like a second family, if you will. They are really a kind and nice community as well. We're also there to win any tournament we get into. For using anything against my coach for the high school season, I just feel like he should eventually change some stuff so I don't know all his plays, because he really just ratted out A West. So I'd hope he would make a change. Other than that, I really wouldn't use it against him. Yeah.
It makes it really exciting though to have that opportunity, and we're familiar with Coach Rio as well. He's a great dude and obviously an awesome resource here, and somebody who's really done a lot for this sport here in Colorado. And so we're grateful to him in that way, and for any work that he continues to do with high school players such as yourself, where you get to take some of those skills with you on the road, and it gives not that I'm saying too trash talk per se, but I think it creates opportunities for some pretty funny banter potentially. Both ways a little bit, where it's just like, oh, yep, I know your little tricks here, but on the flip side, obviously, the coach is going to be familiar with what you have going on as well. So that makes that super duper exciting, and kind of using that a little bit as well as your experience through just high school football initially. I want to give you an opportunity a little bit here to talk about some recent news here. For those who don't follow Jay on socials, first off, you got to go find her JCO.18_. We're trying to build you up a following here. Maybe you can get an NIL deal, but you were selected recently by USA Football here, and I kind of want to just give you a chance to talk about what exactly this selection is and what it means to you, and kind of what that looks like as far as future in flag and the opportunities that this is going to provide.
For one, I'd like to say I'm super thankful for this opportunity. I don't know much about it. I just do know that I did get selected for wide receiver. So that is going to be something else, and I'm super excited for that. I can't really tell you what is going to happen in July in LA for this selection, but I know that me, as well as one of my teammates from Lace Up, we were 2 out of 12 selected from the West region, and it's such a great opportunity, and it means a lot to me, and I never thought I'd get this far, honestly.
Well, I know that you're going to make the most of this opportunity just following this conversation with you, and I want to say on behalf of everyone on the podcast, congratulations on making that selection. And we'll just keep our ear to the ground for any action that happens in July, as well as what's going to continue to happen heading into the season. And we're just very, very excited. Obviously, as a Colorado native myself, I'm very excited to just see where the sport is at and where the state is at in regards to growing the game of football, because whether it's flag or tackle, this is growing the game, and to get national recognition and have national or regional, however people want to say it, talent that is worthy of being chosen at a plethora of places is very exciting. So I want to say thank you for representing for the state and for putting on for Colorado. And yeah, I just want to give you an opportunity as well to I already plugged your Insta, but if there's any other places where you want to get plugged where the people can find you and keep track of everything that you have going on, where should they find you?
Honestly, that Instagram is where you can find me. That's really it. I don't be on socials like that.
Well, there you go. Make sure to double back for that, Graham. And, we're definitely we're excited to see where your story is heading and continue to watch it. I mean, we have quite a bit of time, honestly, with you being, your class of 26, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, yeah. So, there's plenty of opportunities to watch Jay here make plays across a plethora of platforms and opportunities here. So please make sure that y'all are tuning in, whether that is through jco.18_ or, we're definitely going to catch some games of Pomona's in the fall. And so obviously follow us here at Playmakers Corner on Instagram, at Playmaker Corner on Twitter/X, or anywhere that you listen to podcasts. We're going to be talking about certain games and have games of the week and trying to attend as many possible things as we can, including tournaments, both preseason and postseason. So it's going to be a heck of a season. I'm very, very excited for this upcoming flag season in Colorado. And Jay, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us on the pod here. And we're looking forward to seeing you around for sure.
Thank you.
And that is going to do it for this episode of Playmakers Corner. I already did the plugs for the socials, but you got to find us YouTube, TikTok while it's still around, I suppose, and just stay up to date on everything that is Colorado football, both tackle and flag. And until next time, peace.